Game of Thrones Season 8. It's done. If you're like me, you probably didn't like it very much. They simply had too much to resolve in 6 episodes, which is probably a big part of the problem here, but more on that later. I mean, don't get me wrong. The cinematography in this was just absolutely off the charts. Like that scene when Daenerys is coming down the steps and Drogon raises his wings behind her and she looks like a freaking dragon. That was dope. But as I've had time to stew on this over the last few days, I mean, a lot of us, we've been watching this series for so long, and it's just so sad to have this thing come to such an anticlimactic end and have it feel rushed and disrespected. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't been watching it the whole time. I just started watching this year and binged the whole thing. But anyway, it's a shame to see something so good end on such a sour note for a lot of us. So I've been thinking about it, and I think for me, I figured out what doesn't work for me. Now, I've got specific complaints, like I feel like they disrespected Jaime Lannister. I'm not sure if they spent enough time building up to the Mad Queen. I mean, they definitely foreshadowed it. There was a lot of foreshadowing there, and then all of a sudden, it's just like, bam, she's just killing kids. I don't quite buy that. But I don't think that's the biggest issue here. What I think is the biggest issue is the show climaxed 3 episodes before the finale. Say what you want about the Battle of Winterfell. It was a little too dark. Maybe you had a hard time seeing it. But that episode was a masterpiece in my personal view. They spent plenty of time building up to Arya Stark being the one to kill the Night King. Now, maybe you don't like her just flying behind him and just ending it that easy, but they've spent a lot of time developing that Arya Stark is a killer, that she's sneaky, and that she can get something like that accomplished. I buy it. But for me, one of the most compelling conflicts that Game of Thrones spent time developing and building to was this Battle of Winterfell, the battle with the White Walkers. Clear back in Season 1, Episode 1, we saw the White Walkers, we see this conflict building. And so for 8 seasons, we build towards this Battle of Winterfell with the Night King, and then all of a sudden, bam, Night King's out of the picture. He's dead. White Walkers are gone. They don't mean anything anymore. Basically, all you got is a bunch of dead bodies you got to clean up in Winterfell. So to me, to have that satisfying of a conclusion to the White Walker saga, which was satisfying in my view, it felt awkward to move on to a new conflict. So ultimately, I feel like the biggest thing that Game of Thrones needed was more time, and they needed to reorder how things ended. Instead of having the Night King's defeat at the Battle of Winterfell 3 episodes before the show ends and then address the conflict with Cersei, what if we have a whole season devoted to who gets the Iron Throne, a whole season devoted to dealing with Cersei, and then we deal with the conflict with the White Walkers? That to me makes a lot more sense. That's the conflict that made Game of Thrones so compelling to me. Game of Thrones to me was not just about who gets the Iron Throne. It was about the living versus the dead. Now, totally possible you didn't see that way. That's just the conflict to me that made the most sense. And so when the Night King was defeated, I just thought, I don't know if I care about the rest of it. I think I'm done. I think I'm out. These last 3 episodes, Jon and Dany, I think it was a real missed opportunity also to just really delve into the lore of the Night King. We saw a little bit of that with the Children of the Forest, and to me, that episode, I was just glued to my TV set. I just could not possibly get enough information about this guy. Spend a whole season resolving who has the Iron Throne, and then move on to the conflict with the White Walkers, and then have a similar kind of episode, a similar kind of epic conclusion where Arya flies out of the darkness and kills the Night King. That was so epic, and in my opinion, it should have been the conclusion of Game of Thrones. So that's just my opinion. You may totally disagree with me. Let me know what your take is down in the comments below. What did you think should have changed about Game of Thrones Season 8? I think for the most part, most of us can probably agree that we wanted something to change. I mean, some of you guys loved it, and if you did, good on you. I know what it's like to love something a lot of people hate. Seriously though, I loved The Last Jedi. Don't at me. All right, everyone, anxious to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, and if you like these movie review / show review videos, let me know, and I'll be happy to do more. And as always, my brothers, don't forget
my dead body. Sorry about the mess.